You've always found peace in your nighttime routine. When did it start to bring about this strange restlessness? There was a time when making a cup of tea before bed meant guaranteed relaxation. Today, even the simplest rituals seem insufficient to calm that mental turmoil that insists on giving you no respite. You may have noticed how your breathing becomes shallow during times when you should be resting, or how that constant feeling of alertness appears just when you need calm the most. Your body seems to have forgotten how to prepare itself for the peace that the end of the day should bring. In my consultations, I have seen how a specific drink, prepared with intention and taken at strategic times, can reteach the body to recognize signs of calm. It is impressive how something so simple can interrupt the cycle of accelerated thoughts that many elderly people face, especially in their later years. The interesting thing is that it's not just about the drink itself, but how it becomes a symbol to the body that it's time to slow down internally, to allow the mind to find its way back to serenity. If you recognize this difficulty in finding peace, even in the simplest moments, leave a yes in the comments. Let's build together a space of greater calm and less judgment. Feeling your heart racing for no apparent reason, feeling restless all the time, or even not being able to sleep easily are not just a part of getting older. They are important signs that your body and mind are trying to communicate. Ignoring these symptoms can cause discomfort to increase, turning small worries into persistent tension that affects even moments of rest. Many older people believe that this feeling of nervousness or excessive tiredness is part of natural aging, but the truth is that there is a simple explanation behind it. When the mind is overwhelmed by worries or thoughts that do not stop, the body reacts as if it were on constant alert, even when there is no real danger. It is as if the body remains in a state of readiness, releasing tension that builds up and makes it difficult to relax. Imagine your body as a very sensitive scale that tries to balance itself at every moment. When silent worry sets in, this scale begins to tip to one side, causing an imbalance that can manifest as irritation, difficulty sleeping, or even pain that has no apparent cause. This internal alarm is a clear message that something needs to be adjusted, and not simply a result of the weather. This state of constant alert is similar to a radio that gets stuck on an unpleasant frequency. The sound won't stop, even if you want to turn it off. Your nervous system may be sending out these signals, asking for a break, for special care that allows your mind and body to harmonize again. The good news is that there is a way to relieve this tension and regain serenity. But it only begins when you recognize these signals and decide to act consciously. It is possible to find this balance again, restoring the tranquility you deserve. If you identify with these feelings, I invite you to stay here with me. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss the next guidelines we will share. Press 1 if these experiences are already part of your daily life, or 5 if you still have doubts about what you are feeling. We are together on this journey to take better care of your mind and your well-being. In moments when restlessness seems to dominate, when your mind is filled with noises that are difficult to silence, it is important to listen to what your body is revealing beyond the usual tiredness. These sensations, even subtle ones, indicate that there is an urgent need for a break and a sense of comfort. Now, we are going to present a small adjustment that can be made in just 30 seconds. A simple gesture that offers a first breath of relief. Imagine positioning your body in a way that allows for the sensation of expansion and relaxation, as if you were making room for tranquility to settle in. This brief, albeit discreet movement promotes an immediate release of accumulated tension, restoring a lightness that was almost forgotten. It is not a definitive solution, but a valuable first step for those who want to regain emotional and physical balance. Mental health experts, with extensive experience in caring for more mature people, point out that this quick practice helps to reduce internal overload and promotes serenity. It is a gesture that, repeated consciously, can transform the way the body responds to daily stress, Have you ever felt that small movements can change your day? Write in the comments, "I will take care of myself from now on," to share this commitment with yourself. When you take this brief break, you will often feel immediate relief, a feeling of comfort that reconnects your body and mind. This moment creates a space where calm begins to set in, bringing a sense of autonomy and comfort. It is an opportunity to feel that, even in the face of difficulties, it is possible to find an inner refuge. Think of this moment as a reunion with an old friend, a silent embrace between body and soul, where both recognize each other and calm down. This gesture transforms your daily routine into a path of care, preparing you for the next steps towards a more serene mind and a more harmonious body. You start to notice something different, a slight change that seems subtle but brings unexpected comfort. Maybe your nights are a little calmer, with less abrupt awakenings. Or perhaps your steps around the house now sound firmer, as if your body has regained a forgotten confidence. This small, albeit delicate transformation is proof that your mind and body are responding, even if the road ahead still seems long. It is important to recognize that these first reactions are, in fact, great achievements. When you dedicate yourself to listening to what your body is telling you, respecting its time and rhythm, you make room for serenity to gradually set in. Each sign of progress, no matter how small it may seem, confirms that the partnership between you and your own being is growing stronger. It is not about rushing, but about welcoming each step with patience and affection. Imagine that your body is whispering a silent thank you, as if to say, "Thank you for paying attention to me." This connection is precious, a bond that unites your emotions with your physical self, showing that taking care of yourself is a two-way street. It is in this intimate dialogue that hope is born, that light that illuminates the journey and invites you to move forward with confidence. Now tell me, type 1 in the comments if you have already noticed some improvement, even if small, or write 5 if you still feel that everything is at the beginning of this transformation. Your participation is essential for us to grow together. If this content has helped bring clarity to your journey, subscribe to the channel. Each week, we will share steps that strengthen emotional and physical balance. Your subscription also helps this material reach other people who need this comfort. Let's continue this experience with a renewed feeling, almost like a gentle breeze that announces more serene days. Next, you will learn to deepen this connection, further strengthening the bond between mind and body. Get ready to move forward with hope and tranquility. Often, when dealing with the restlessness that seems to accompany the passing of the years, it is common to attribute these discomforts only to natural aging. However, in the daily routine, there is a subtle detail that goes unnoticed and can intensify this feeling of anxiety. The habit of consuming stimulating beverages, such as coffee, at times close to the end of the day. For many people in their 60s or older, this practice seems harmless, almost automatic, but it can profoundly interfere with mental and physical balance. This late consumption acts as a silent alert for the body. The stimulus of caffeine activates the nervous system for a prolonged period, preventing the body from completely shutting down. It is as if the brain remains in a state of constant alert, an internal vigil that makes it difficult to relax, which is necessary for rest. This persistent activation triggers a cycle of tension, where the body remains prepared for a threat that does not arrive, generating a silent drain on emotional resources. This impact extends to sleep, which is essential for restoring the mind and body. The quality of rest is fragmented, resulting in a confused and tired awakening, even after hours of rest. When the body is on alert, it releases stress hormones at higher than ideal levels, such as cortisol, which maintains the feeling of restlessness and accelerates the heart rate. It is common to notice a persistent feeling of tightness in the chest, slight jumps in response to everyday noises, or an increasing difficulty in concentrating on simple tasks. It is important to recognize that this habit is not the result of carelessness or lack of willpower. Many people have never been guided to identify how these small choices influence their emotional state. The agitation that seems to appear out of nowhere, the fatigue that does not dissipate, and the physical discomfort are real signs of an invisible process that gradually sets in, becoming part of everyday life without you noticing. What if this restlessness that accompanies your afternoons and evenings was not just a reflection of the weather, but the consequence of a constant alert that your body tries to keep silent? You wake up feeling light, as if the weight of your anxiety has lifted. Your chest feels calm, your thoughts calmer. But is this rest lasting or just a temporary respite? Often, this momentary relief is deceiving, giving the false impression that the tension has disappeared forever. Imagine walking through a field covered in delicate flowers, but hidden beneath the surface are sharp rocks. The silence of the symptoms does not mean that the danger has been eliminated. It is simply dormant, waiting for an opportunity to manifest itself again. This oscillation is common in anxiety, especially in those facing the challenges of maturity. The body and mind live in cycles. The nervous system reacts to stimuli, the breathing pattern changes. Thoughts recreate old emotional triggers. Therefore, it is natural for the discomfort to seem to disappear and return, in a constant dance between tension and relief. Recognizing this is not a reason to be discouraged, but to embrace your own journey with kindness. Relapses do not indicate failure or weakness. They simply show that your body is still learning to trust, that it needs repetition and care to make well-being a routine. Your body does not demand perfection, but persistence. Each attempt is a step forward, even when it seems that progress has stalled. The silence you are experiencing now is not the end of the struggle, but a delicate window to observe, understand, and act with greater awareness. Sometimes the absence of tension is not the ultimate cure. It is an opportunity to reinvent the path before discomfort returns. Even when the mind seems calmer, many people remain trapped in a subtle pattern that prevents full recovery. This behavior is almost imperceptible, but it keeps anxiety in a silent cycle. Among the elderly, this unconscious repetition is common, the tendency to retain old worries, reliving thoughts that stimulate the nervous system, even without realizing it. This pattern keeps the body on alert, as if it were constantly preparing for imminent danger, even when there is no real threat. Clinically, this process is explained by the prolonged activation of the stress axis, which releases hormones such as cortisol. This continuous response makes it difficult to relax mentally and physically, blocking the natural ability to restore balance. By insisting on these repeated thoughts, the brain acts like a radio stuck on the same noisy station, a constant signal that prevents the silence necessary for recovery. Imagine that your body is an old windmill. If the blades get stuck, it cannot turn and generate energy. Thus, when the mind fixates on repeated worries, the vital energy stagnates, preventing progress towards a calmer state. It's natural to feel fear or guilt for not being able to simply forget these thoughts, as if this difficulty were a personal flaw. But it's important to understand, it's not your weakness. Your body has learned to protect itself from threats, creating this pattern as a silent shield. This protection, although well-intentioned, needs to be acknowledged for true transformation to occur without rushing or self-judgment. What if this invisible resistance were actually an invitation to pay closer attention to what really needs to be released? The next step will reveal how to begin this change without forcing it, but respecting the natural rhythm of your body and mind. Relief begins to arrive, the mind seems lighter, and the body responds with moments of tranquility. But it is precisely at this point that many elderly people make the mistake that paves the way for the return of hidden tensions. Premature confidence causes attention to be reduced to subtle signs, and old habits, such as sleepless nights or the consumption of stimulants, return almost without realizing it. It is like coming out of a cold and immediately exposing yourself to the cold wind. Even with improvement, the body remains sensitive and vulnerable to new discomforts. Feeling disappointed when faced with a relapse after calmer days is natural and expected. This fluctuation does not mean failure, but rather that the body is sending a new silent message, asking for renewed and constant care. The temporary absence of symptoms does not equate to a certificate of complete recovery, but rather an invitation to intensify attention and prevention. Your body is opening a gap, a delicate space, and what you decide to do now will profoundly influence your well-being in the following days. It is essential to see this moment of serenity as an opportunity to consolidate emotional stability and not as the end of the journey. Imagine a wound that seems closed but still needs a bandage to protect the sensitive tissue underneath. Likewise, the mind and body, even when they seem to be resting, still require care and respect to prevent old emotional patterns from resurfacing. It is here, in this delicate phase, that the line between a temporary improvement and a lasting recovery begins to be defined. Recognizing this difference is the essential step to keeping the mind in balance and strengthening the ability to face future challenges with serenity and confidence. If you've made it this far, it's because you've chosen to listen to what many ignore: the subtle signals that your body and mind send before a greater alert. This journey wasn't just about controlling your restlessness, but about recognizing what's really pulsing inside you. Imagine tension as a delicate bell that rings softly to let you know that something needs to be taken care of. This silent discomfort doesn't appear to punish, but to guide and invite transformation. It's the messenger that awakens your attention to what still needs attention and care. On days when discomfort seems distant, that's when conscious attention makes all the difference. Active care, even when everything seems calm, strengthens balance and prevents old patterns from taking over again. What you cultivate in these serene moments is what will decide how light the next few days will be. Comment serenity if you want to enter this new phase with calm and confidence. Type 1 if you've already realized that this discomfort can teach you something profound, or 5 if you feel that it still challenges your peace. Sometimes a simple gesture, a gentle look inside, is enough for the entire body to trust its own rhythm again. You may have begun this journey feeling the weight of restlessness, like a rough sea that seems to have no rest. Now, having reached this point, you have the serenity of someone who has chosen to listen to their own body, recognizing its subtle and valuable messages. Your body speaks every day, even when the world insists on silencing your needs. Today, you have found the space to embrace this inner silence, allowing it to reveal the path to true calm. There is no lasting relief without presence, without the tenderness of constant and attentive listening. What your body has been longing for all this time was a partnership, a gentle encounter between mind and heart, a harmonious dance that respects the natural time of recovery. Now imagine your mind as a tree that, after a harsh winter, begins to sprout new, firm, and fresh leaves. It is in this rebirth that lies the strength to continue, the confidence to move forward with more lightness and care. Just as dawn breaks the darkness of night, your body and mind awaken to a new cycle, full of possibilities and hope. Sometimes, the silence that seemed empty was actually a gentle invitation for you to blossom at your own pace. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone who also deserves to feel this peace. And if you want to continue this journey of reconnection, sign up. Here, every space is a safe haven, and you will never be alone.